Hey, I'm Des.
Hey y'all, I'm Sai.
And we're the co hosts of Let's Talk Sis podcast, where we truly believe that together empowered women can transform their lives.
Join us for heartfelt stories, enlightening conversations, and a whole lot of accountability along the way.
Alrighty. Episode 2. You excited?
I'm tired. Yeah.
Yeah. What we going on? 8 hours, right?
Yep.
Okay.
8 hours in and no footage.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is. It's crazy.
Yo, Destiny keep deleting the clips.
Oh, baby. First of all, 2 nights ago, you deleted the video. So you clearly seen how it's easy to delete.
Okay. I guess I'm supposed to have a level of understanding.
Yeah, since you experienced it, that's how life works.
Okay.
Yeah. Nevertheless, we're here with episode 2. Tired, yes, but we're showing up. Because it has to get done. Because we committed to it. And we're here. So what are we discussing today? What are we chatting about? Was it, you want to chat about dating, relationships?
Let's talk about daddy issues
Daddy issues.
and dating and how does that affect your dating life?
Dating life currently? Okay.
What's your dating life like? If you could explain it in one word, what would it be?
That's a good question. If I can currently explain my dating life in one word, it'll be
Drum roll.
laxed.
Okay.
Laxed, yeah. Pretty chill. It's pretty chill over here. If you could explain your dating life in one word, what would it be?
My selection of a word would be sad.
Hmm.
It's pretty sad.
Why?
It's just not any fun, you know? I feel like dating is always, well, my perspective of dating has always been like, from the outside looking in, for it to be more fun. So like just having a good time, vacationing, date nights, dressing up, laughing, like, you know.
Now that you mention it, I guess my dating life is pretty sad as well because I don't do any of those things.
I mean, I don't know. It has its pros and its cons though.
It does. But elaborate on it.
Like, I could be, like, it'll be nothing for me to go on a date,
Oh, for sure.
but it's kind of like purposeless in a sense. In a sense of like,
Why is it purposeless? What do you mean?
I just feel like serially dating right now in my life and with the stuff that I have going on and what I'm trying to, you know, get done. It's counterproductive in a sense. So I'm really not interested. So I guess I'm okay. I'm content with it.
So are you dating at all?
No, not necessarily.
What does not necessarily mean? I feel like that's kind of a yes or no question.
No.
Interesting. Okay.
I really want to talk about like the balance of feminine and masculine energy.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's kind of been the focal point of like trying to reverse, or like not reverse necessarily, but just trying to find a little bit more balance in my feminine energy.
Okay.
More so than just basking completely in masculine energy, you know? So, firstly, I think that we should all, as individuals, acknowledge that both men and women possess both energies.
Definitely.
And then from there, just understand that, like, why some people may possess a little bit more, like what causes that chemical like imbalance or whatever, right? And for me personally, I feel like living in survival mode for so long has definitely contributed to that. You know, just enduring traumatic events. And I know Black women specifically have the connotation of just being strong, you know, which goes hand in hand with being resilient. And to be resilient means that you bounce back from anything. And that's tiring. And although I'm grateful that I possess the trait of being resilient, it's still,
So how does that coincide with masculine energy though?
I
You
feel
can't
like,
be feminine and resilient.
I feel like you can, but after a while or after too much, maybe, I could feel like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm tired. Because when you think about really dwelling in your feminine energy, I feel like it's a little bit, it's much, not a little bit, it's much softer
Yeah.
and out down and easygoing and relaxed in comparison to like masculine energy.
Yeah.
And even if we compare like the gender roles,
Yeah.
because we always say that gender roles shouldn't exist, but
Reality.
reality is that they really do. So I think if we even take it as far as like examining the roles that a man have in comparison to the roles that a woman have,
Yeah.
Men carry loads, men protect, they provide, like things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, and then when you look at the woman, she nurtures, she cares, she multiplies, and
Right.
things like that. So I feel like there's been an off
balance
for me personally. Yeah,
um
that has definitely contributed
to your dating.
to my dating life. And then I feel like daddy issues, that's a whole nother topic.
Do you feel like having daddy issues made you have less respect for men?
I never made the correlation that I had less respect for men because of my father. I couldn't really pinpoint and identify like where it came from, and I'm not even sure if I'm able to still do that today in this present moment. But I know, referring back to like probably like 5-6 years ago, I was just like, I don't need you. Like, I got my own money. Like, what? I didn't understand how a man
Can contribute.
could, to what I had going on. And
Right.
maybe that's just simply because I've watched my mother, struggle and just be a single mom of 3 for so long without having a male's presence. And from my perspective, it was kind of like, well, I'm seeing her get all this done without a man. So maybe I just grew into the habit or the mindset of just thinking like a man wasn't really necessary. But now that I'm mature and older, like I completely think that is a horrible idea or way of thinking. A man's presence is definitely needed.
I don't know. I feel like I agree for sure that a man's presence is definitely needed. I think it may be masculine energy, but it's a pride and ego thing as well. Like how you kind of said, like, I don't need you. How can you contribute? Yeah. But it's like an eye opener. I think we was kind of already discussing. This is an eye opener when you meet that person that show you that they can contribute and what they can contribute. And it's like, it'll be the stuff that you didn't even think of. Stuff like how you just said, oh, I got my own money. Men contribute, obviously they contribute money, but it's so much more that a man can do that you really just can't do. A man could add these values to you and add these things to you that you didn't even know you needed until you meet that right person that does it. Then it's like,
No, I definitely agree.
Maybe I was missing this.
Because I've definitely been in a position similar to that. Transitioning from dating as like a teenager into like dating in my 20s, I definitely ran into someone like a few years ago that I was dating, and he was what I would consider to be like my first grown man, And when I say grown man, I'm not talking about in age. I'm talking about like in wisdom and characteristics and leadership ability, and self-awareness and all of those other things.
He was healed.
Wow. He was healed. So he was aware.
Okay.
He wasn't necessarily healed at that time, in comparison to like looking back 5-6 years later now and looking like, okay, he's healed now. I think he was aware, and at that time he was like embarking on his journey, but he didn't bleed on me, if that makes sense. Like his whatever he had gone through, it didn't make me feel like any less of a person, or I had to carry,
because he was a man.
He was a man. Yes. Shout out to him.
He was a man. That's what it is. It's like I like that you said like he didn't bleed on me, and that be the problem. I feel like in a lot of, well, I wouldn't say problem, but that's like I guess it's like downfall kind of, or the bad part about it is like we can grow together. I'm going through what I'm going through, you going through what you're going through, which is typically just life. But don't bleed on me. We can help each other grow, but don't make me feel like I'm going through the struggle, the valley, and the trenches just to become a better one. I feel like you're going to grow with your partner regardless. Even if you meet somebody that's healed and you're healed, it's still further to go, right? You still can grow more. Y'all still can learn more. So you're going to grow with your partner together. So even if you meet this partner and neither of you are healed, and or whatever it is, like y'all still going through that journey, that process, y'all can go through this process together while building each other up. Opposed to a lot of relationships, we're going through a process, but I'm making you feel like shit while I'm going through my process and you're going through the same thing.
Yeah, I think, okay, so I think my perspective is that people really just don't know how to handle their stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people like bleed on people intentionally. I think that it's more so like this healing process is unfamiliar to me. So I don't really know how to carry you while I'm going through to getting through, if that makes sense. But I can say, like, referring back to the situation that I was talking about, the relationship or whatever, when he was going through his process, I was simultaneously going through my own process, right? Okay. And I feel like he was trying his best to be present for me in the midst of that, while going through his own thing. Yeah. But I think I was much younger. I had a whole different mindset. I was so combative. I was all of these things, right? So I required so much patience and understanding and grace. And there was an age gap. So somebody who's like grown and mature and this and the third, I feel like looking back at the girl that I was then, I was really immature in the way that I handled things. So I feel like it's kind of one of those things where you just keep sticking it out with your partner until enough is enough. And that's understandable, you know?
Yeah. How do you feel about the whole thing? Because what we talking about kind of goes hand in hand with the, like, they say like you can't love nobody else till you love yourself.
I agree with that 1,000%.
I've just kind of gotten to this realization not too long ago. But I feel like, don't come to me if you're not healed. Get your life together.
Okay, when you say healed, like, what do you mean?
Have your life together.
Okay.
Be ready to work side by side and pour into and receive and all of this from a partner.
I don't know. See, I'm not in like a long-term relationship, and I haven't been in like my adult years, so I don't really want to speak from ignorance because I can't speak from experience. I only can make a hypothetical, and I will say, I mean, I feel like this is my perspective. I feel like a relationship is two people that have two individual journeys that are growing together. That are growing together. But I think sometimes when we say we're growing together or growing with our partner, we think that like we're going to grow in the same like direction.
No. So that's not at all what I meant. I mean, know who you are and what you want.
Okay.
Before you mend yourself with this other person. I probably didn't word it right. Okay. That's what I mean. I mean, when I say come put together, come with your life together, I mean as far as you and yourself. I want you to already, well, not completely, because like I said, life is a everlasting growth journey. We're always growing. We always becoming better. But you need to, and this is my personal opinion, I feel like especially as a man, I need you to have your identity and yourself together. I need you to know what you want and know who you are. Because, like we said, a man is supposed to lead. I can't expect you to lead me and you can't even properly lead yourself.
Right. I think that's fair for sure. But on the flip side, I also believe that people were put into your life for a season or a reason, right?
I agree.
So I feel like sometimes certain parts of us are unlocked when we are coexisting with other people. So
For
you
sure.
would never be able to, I would have probably either never been able to unlock my own personal development journey, or it would have took me a little bit longer had I never crossed paths with
That person.
the person that I crossed paths with. I can definitely say that,
I
because
agree.
that was like the peak. That was an eye-opening moment for me to be like, okay, let me turn this around, and let me reassess and change my direction.
And I agree with that as well. Like how you just said, you experience certain people and certain things for certain reasons, because even back to the masculine and feminine energy, it's like a lot of stuff that you thought was normal, like I don't need this man, or I don't need no man, and stuff like that. A lot of stuff you thought was normal until you experience, like I said, certain people or certain things. That's like, all right, so I probably fumbled the bag with you, but I know.
Wait, can we
now I know how to move forward.
No, can we seriously talk about how humbling it is as a woman to know that
you fumbled?
Bruh. Like, it's like two of my exes from like when I was probably like, I don't know, in my teens, like late teens. I need to say sorry. So if you're listening to this, I apologize, because it was just like, I had one boyfriend who was just sweetest guy ever. He was just like head over heels. He was just like the perfect man. Looking back,
and I'm about to say, and it's so crazy because you don't realize that until you look back.
And I literally left him because I just felt like I wasn't being stimulated. Like it was just not what I was used to, and I was used to unhealthy, toxic, the fighting, the arguing, and there was none of that. So I'm like, this shit is boring. Like, we need some excitement. Like,
that's a damn shame.
I know. I know.
Well, it's good that you can acknowledge it now. Yeah. You're aware.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about it for a little too long and I feel like a terrible person.
Yeah.
So I try to like right my wrongs moving forward.
That's what I mean. Like I've had experience. I remember a few years ago, I was dating somebody, and I wouldn't say I'm used to or love like the whole toxic thing. I don't know what it is that I love or I'm used to at this point, but the super nice guy didn't work for me. Like, it's like you're a pushover, you're too nice, you're too lenient. But thinking back, that's probably was my husband. Like, that's really crazy. Like, that's really crazy. And it's like, I've came to that realization, and I know that, and I say to myself moving forward all the time, like, when I run into somebody like that, gotta have it together.
Right.
And let them do what they're doing as a man, or as, because the girls don't take accountability. We be fumbling for sure.
Yeah. It's so crazy because I follow my ex on Instagram, right? And he in a relationship. He's been in a relationship for the past few years. And like, I be so happy for him, because it's like, I'm happy you found somebody who like compliments what you put into the world. Like,
that's maturity though.
Yeah, I think
because that's mature for you though. Because no, for real, because the guy I'm talking about that I said I fumbled, the super nice guy, he's in a relationship now, and I had to unfollow him. I don't want to see that. That's good for y'all. Like, I'm cool. I'm cool. I don't want to see that.
I'm crying. That is insane.
Like, I fumbled, and I fumbled, and I know I fumbled, and you want to throw it in my face that I fumbled? Cool. No, I'm good.
That's funny. But transitioning back to the whole daddy issues, what was like your home like growing up?
So my household was together until the age of probably like 6 or 5 or something like that. Like, my mom and dad was married, traditional household, like whatever. My dad was incarcerated for a long time, and everything broke up after that, including like our relationship. So our relationship is like, I'm gonna say shaky, because I don't know, it's like, but he wasn't there basically for like a long time. So with that being the case, it was just me and my mom for a long time, like for a very long time. And a part of that, like you said, watching your mom just be superwoman, do everything on her own by herself, not needing nobody, not, you know. So that attitude probably for sure came from that. But yeah, just shaky.
So have you ever experienced or can recall a moment where you could make a correlation between maybe your behavior in a past relationship or
actually yes. It wasn't until, this is my most recent relationship, it wasn't until my mom said, he act just like your dad. I said, huh? Like, what? And it's crazy because it's like, she's saying like, yeah, the stuff you complaining about, your dad did the same thing. Like, he act just like your dad. And that's what made me, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I knew the relationship, me and my dad's relationship is, like, to be transparent, that shit is trash. And I knew that, though. I was very aware of that, but I wasn't aware of the whole daddy issues thing.
Yeah.
Like, that was never a thought on my mind. Actually, I don't think I even admitted or knowingly dove into that until I feel like me and you talked about it, like, probably a minute ago or something. And you used to always mention, like, that's daddy issues, or like, you used to just, and that used to make me think, like,
I think it's so crazy how the subconscious mind works. So for you to attract someone who's so similar to your father,
I hate that for me.
It's kind of like a mirror within yourself. So I think that a lot of times when you were talking or we were having conversations and you were telling me certain things, and I'm like, that sounds like daddy issues, is because like it sounds like a mirror.
Yeah. And something else that I've recently learned in therapy, I used to talk to my therapist about everything. I mean, relationships, my father, life, parents, whatever. And a lot of things that I used to complain to her about with my father, like, oh, I don't like how he did this, or he said he's going to do this, but he did this, or stuff like that. And then, like, in other sessions, I'm talking about how I handle things, like, oh, stuff just don't be that serious to me.
Yeah.
And she's like, remember when you said last session that it wasn't serious to your dad? Like, she be pointing out so many, like, so much resemblance. And it's crazy. It's like you said, it's like subconsciously, you don't even be knowing it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that aspect of it is daddy issues, because I just recently have became a little bit more aware of when I'm dealing with people in general, right? Because before, whenever I experienced somebody or interacted with them, I'm so impulsive. I'm an Aries. So for the most part, I would just say whatever it is that came to mind or do whatever it is that came to mind, right? And then self-reflect later on after the fact. So now I'm like sitting with my thought a little bit longer, allowing it to process before it leaves my mouth, or really thinking my actions through before I do it, right? Yeah. And this is new. Like, I'm talking about new within like the last 30 days, 60 days, or whatever the case may be. So what I realized is whenever I say that I don't like something in someone, whether it be a friend, a partner, my parents, anybody that I get to experience in this lifetime, it's a mirror. It's a mirror in everybody. Like, I see what I don't like in other people because it resonates with me. It's what I do, you know.
That's a good way to look at things. So you saying what you see, like the thing that you're seeing in them that you don't like, is something that's probably like deep inside of you?
It's either something that's present or something that's past. For example, my last relationship, right? He reminded me so much of me when I dealt with my first grown man, if that makes sense. So I had a certain level of understanding and grace and patience for him, because what I didn't like about him was who I used to be. You get what I'm saying? So it resonated with me in the aspect of like, okay, I can identify with this, or this is familiar. Yeah. So I get it, but it's also not excusable. Yeah. In a sense. So
that's crazy that you mentioned that. I don't know too much. I'm trying to like think back on like my past relationship. I don't know too much if it was there, or maybe I'm just not aware enough yet to have noticed it. I don't know. I know it do be little things here and there. It's like oh, I used to do that. I got past that, but for the most part, my problem, I think, I actually know in my relationships is that I assume people supposed to just know what I'm thinking on my brain.
Yeah, that's insane. That's delusion. I said it in the first episode that I was 97% delusional. So I think it's time for you to admit. Right.
Like I just be, cause it's like a lot of things. Like I'll be upset or pissed or something. And it's like, but it was supposed to be like this. And they like, you ain't tell me that. Like, how was I supposed to know that? Mm-hmm. And it's like, because like I feel like, but it's not really delusion, because I feel like when you're dating somebody. When you dating somebody and they're dating you, y'all learning each other, right?
Essentially, yeah.
You learning them, their dislikes, their likes, their wants, their needs.
I agree.
And they should be doing the same for you, correct? Mm-hmm. So why you don't know me?
I think that's leaving too much room for them to assume. And it's like you setting a subconscious standard, and then when they don't live up to it, you disappointed. When you never even verbally communicated. And then I feel like in return, you wouldn't even have ended up as upset or disappointed in those situations, whatever situations you're referring to, had you simply said, I like it done this way, or this is what I like. Now, if you said that and it was done a different way, or if it wasn't done at all, that's completely understandable for why you were disappointed.
So you ever heard the saying when they say like, don't tell somebody how to date you or something like that? Like, don't tell somebody...
I mean, I heard it's don't show somebody how to date you, something along the line.
Something like that, yeah.
I've heard that, but I don't agree with it.
Okay.
I feel like a woman
shouldn't
teach a man how to be a man, but
correct.
You definitely should show your partner or tell your partner
how to date you,
guide your partner on how to date you, because it's not one size fit all.
Yeah,
how
very
you
true.
was fucking that girl, that's not gonna work for me.
Right. Oh, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I shouldn't have to show you how to fuck. Like, you know, basically, like, yeah. So it's like I get where they were going with this thing.
Yeah,
but I don't necessarily. I just don't think it's as black
and white as it seems. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know. This dating and this shit is hard. Like, life is just, this shit is hard.
I feel like dating is definitely a little ghetto at the moment.
Oh, it's a little. It is ghetto.
Yeah.
Very much ghetto.
Yeah, it is pretty ghetto. Mm-hmm. But I can say, relating to my previous situation, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know better, so do better. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like I went with what I was familiar with, or what was comfortable, instead of just being mature and aware and identifying like, okay, there's patterns here. It's time for you to just take a different approach and maybe try a different type of guy. Yeah. So maybe it's time for me to go back to like the nice guy. You know. Yeah. The respectful ones, the ones that are just like.
They be the husbands.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like for me, although I know that I need to change my type, I kind of.
So my question on that is, because I kind of like, I can agree with that. Like, you got to change your type and stuff. And I personally, I feel like I've tried. Like, I've dated like the nice guy. I've dated the ideal man, but I don't be interested. Yeah. I'm not gonna say I'm not interested in nice guys, because don't be mean to me. But the ideal man, I don't like. You're boring.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, for me, I think that I mean, I guess this is a little unhinged, but like, I like hood niggas, you know. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not unhinged; it's reality.
Yeah, but like, I like hood niggas, and that's what I was attracted to, right? And I feel like with that comes a lot of other stuff, because 8 times out of 10, these hood niggas lack emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. They are pretty shallow when it comes to conversation. They have a lot of going on. That's typically where that toxic behavior and disrespect and all of that other stuff is prone to happen. Yeah. But for me, I think that I really just want a good guy that has edge. So the balance between the two is like very important to me.
I agree, but so are you saying it's impossible for a hood nigga to be a husband?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Because you said that's what comes that. Okay. So it's
so majority. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So majority of the times, you got to think about their environment. Environmental and a social factor that comes with these type of guys. Right? Yeah. 9 times out of 10, they're in survival mode. Mm-hmm. They are in poverty-stricken environments, which means that the crime rate is extremely high. Violence is literally as soon as they open their doors, 9 times out of 10. Yeah. And regardless if that's not where they lay their head or they relocate somewhere else,
that's what they know.
Yeah, they work predominantly where the drugs and the crime and all that other stuff is happening. So with that comes, I feel like anybody that's healed with a sound mind wouldn't even be in that environment. Yeah. So for me, I'm really just, heading towards a healed or retired.
Retired. You can get you a good retired one. Yeah. Like one that been there, done that. They know something because they've been around the block, but they know enough to say, I did that and I'm here now.
Yeah. And it's crazy because saying this out loud, I think it's really just the street wits that I'm attracted to. Yeah. Because being like, book smart and intellectual and stuff like that is important to me. Yeah. But having that edge, I think that comes from like the wittiness of just
being in the streets. For sure. And that's stuff that they can only get in the streets. Yeah. So with you saying you want that healed person, the person that knows better and stuff like that, are you healed? Like, are you ready to meet that person?
Okay. I'm glad you asked that question because I just posted on my story a question yesterday that said, if you had to date yourself, which parts of you would you not like or enjoy the most? Mm-hmm. And I had to sit with myself for like a good 2 minutes before I like hit the upload button. And I was just like, if I had to date myself, I would not enjoy me. I mean, in comparison to who I was prior a few years ago, I'm definitely proud because, I'm obviously evolving and progressing, but I have so much more work to do that I'm aware of. So, for example, I'm selfish. Mm-hmm. I'm not really likely to compromise in a lot of areas. I have this need or this urge of constantly wanting or desiring stimulation. Mm-hmm. So when I find myself getting bored, then I'm kind of over it. Mm-hmm. There's a long list of things that I need to work on. But I think that in my last relationship, that helped me identify that. And then it's crazy. In my last relationship, it helped me identify that, right? But my relationship before I got into that relationship, I thought that I was
I thought you was healed.
I thought I was healed.
But that's kind of like how we was just talking about. You said certain people unlock certain parts of you. Mm-hmm. And I learned that because of my last relationship. Mm-hmm. I thought I was so healed and so above so much stuff. Yeah. And my last relationship showed me like, baby, you need to go back to the drawing board because you still on bullshit. You still act 12. Like, you still can't control your mouth. Mm-hmm. It showed me a lot. So it's like, I think when we say we're healed, some of us, like, it is a process and it is growth happening. But a lot of the times it's because we removed ourselves from that environment. Yeah. Exactly.
So then when you place back in a circumstance or an environment,
you going through the same thing.
Yeah. I think that healing isn't linear, right? Yeah. So I don't think I'll ever be a healed person completely, like 100%, especially dealing with the world that we live in today. But I do think that I will be healed from some of the traumatic events that I've experienced and have gone through. Yeah. And when it comes to triggers, I think that for me, it's kind of just being able to identify prior what the trigger is and how it made me feel in the last environment or last situation. And kind of, like I said, I'm a little bit more self-aware now. Yeah. So hopefully I'm at the point where I can sit still with whatever is triggering me before I just react the way that the old me would,
And what made you get to this point? Did you experience something that you sat still instead of reacted?
What was that?
Like you saying now you feel like you're to a point where you could at least sit still 1st before you react. Have you been tested on that? Have you endured something and you sat still instead of reacted?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm short tempered too.
Okay.
So I feel like I don't want to say it takes a lot to get me riled up, but here's the thing: I'm more self aware, so I'm able to sit with things longer in comparison to how I used to. But also, I'm finding out that I'm being quiet. And that can come off as me shutting down, but whole time it's like me just sitting still with whatever I need to sit still
processing
with, to process exactly whatever my thought is or my next step is.
Yeah.
So it might not be, like I said, I'm still growing, but it might not be the best way to handle things, but it's better than how I was handling things. Yeah,
it's best for you.
Exactly, because before if something bothered me, I'm just like going off at the mouth or just ready to fight or whatever the case may be. So now I just take a step back, retract, and sit still with my thought or my action. So
And that's a lot of the time. That's really good though, because I feel like that's what causes so much friction and so many problems with people just reacting. They just jumping instead of thinking about it. Because I used to do a lot of that. Like I react instantly off of how I feel. And then most of the times it's like when I'm calmed down later, it's like you ain't even have to do that much.
Have you ever done that and then later on you calm down and then you think back like you discussed it with yourself a little bit?
Yes.
Like, it's so cringy. Like, I can't even believe I gave it that much.
Like, why did I even do all that? Exactly. I could have just left. I could have just walked out. I could have just... But instead, I just did all this dumb shit. And now this person, and this is just my brain, this person got one up on me for real because they just took me out of my element completely. Yeah. And you know when somebody is able to tick you off that bad, they have the control. Yeah. You feel like you going crazy and like, cause in my head it's like, all right, when I go crazy, it's not really much that's going on in my head, but it's like I think I got the ball. Like I'm cursing you out, I'm fighting you, disrespectful, whatever it is that I'm doing. But it's like the reality is that calm person really got the ball. Like they really controlling it. And they're looking at you like a fucking fool. Yeah. And now that it's all said and done, and then when that question comes, like, why you even do all that? And it's like. Like, so. And
something else that has been helping me is just remembering like the 4 agreements. That's a book that like I often revert back to whenever I feel like I need some reminders. So one of the 4 agreements is don't take anything personally, right? But I feel like lately I've been finding myself easily offended. And I feel like that within itself has its pros and cons. Yeah. Because like one of my prayers was for me to be able to be a little bit more vulnerable and emotional, like feel emotionally, because for so long I had like a built up, like through trauma, a wall. So I was numb. So I feel like praying and asking for God to soften my heart. Now I'm feeling stuff and I'm offended. I find myself to be offended easily. Yeah. So now I'm just trying to take a step back, and like I said before, that self-awareness factor.
Is there a medium?
I think there definitely has to be some sort of balance within like being offended, carrying a spirit of offense, and then taking something personal. Because I'm also human with emotions, you know? Yeah. So I'm entitled to feel however I feel. Correct. And my feelings are valid. But also, I have to kind of understand that a lot of the times, however I feel or whatever offends me, it has very little to do with me personally, and everything to do with the person who is
very true.
Kind of being the receiver or the giver, in that situation. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I actually was at a medium because that's kind of something I go back and forth with myself on. It's like a part of me is very numb and don't feel much, but then a part of me feels everything. It's like I don't know. It's like I think it's a defense mechanism.
I was gonna say, it seems like a defense.
Yeah, I think it's a defense mechanism. It's like instantly I shut myself down internally to like if something that would typically offend me or hurt my feelings, something I instantly like. I don't know what happens in my body, but it's instantly like blocked. Like whereas though I shut down and I won't even hear it or acknowledge it or let it bother me. But when I say it's another part of me that feels everything, it's like, because it's like my brain is like a tape recorder. It's like when it's happening, it's like I control myself to shut down and not receive it. But then like days later, it's replaying in my brain exactly how it happened. And now I'm offended or sad or hurt or bothered days after the situation has already occurred.
Yeah. I think that comes with overthinking though.
For sure. That's definitely overthinking. But what I'm saying is, it's like, because I feel like the typical person or your regular thinking person, if it is something like, how am I able to block it out in the moment?
I feel like it's a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. So it sounds like what you're trying to do is like trick your subconscious mind into believing that it doesn't care about whatever it is, but you can't. So the only layer that you're able to get through to for it to not care is your conscious mind, which is that present moment in that situation. Your subconscious mind is kind of what holds the storage and like allows you to play it back in a sense. Yeah. Similar to like your memory, I guess. Yeah. So it's like in this moment, in the present moment, my conscious mind thinks that it doesn't care. Whole time it allowed that information to bypass to the subconscious. So now when you let that wall down and you feeling a little bit more relaxed, it's kind of like when your subconscious is like, hey, remember this happened? This little piece of information or whatever the case may be. So it's just a mind game that you're trying to play with yourself, it sounds like. And you're
because I really I don't think so, because I really be convincing myself that I don't be giving a fuck, and a lot of times I really don't be. But like I said, later down the line, stuff be replaying in my head like, wait a second, when they said that, at the moment, like, I feel like in the moment, it's like kind of convincing myself that I don't care, but at the same time, it be also like, because I be trying to empathize with people. I be trying to understand where everybody is coming from and feel what everybody is feeling. So in the moment, it be a lot of like, why they doing this, or what are they thinking that's causing them to do this, opposed to how I feel receiving it. So I spend that moment trying to think for that person and trying to understand why it is that they're doing whatever it is they're doing.
Would you consider that to be like, do you find yourself making excuses for people's actions?
No. No, I don't. Like I said, I try to understand. Sometimes I just never do. And I'm okay with that, because I know I'm who I am. I think the way I think. I was raised the way I raised. So everybody is not going to resonate with me or vice versa. So no, I don't feel like I give excuses, but I do also know that we are all human and we all have, because I don't do everything right on my behalf. Right. I know it's a lot of stuff that I do or probably say and have people question like, what's wrong with her? Like, why she do that? Or why she, you know what I'm saying? So I just try to give people that grace though and understanding. So I feel like I said, them present moments, I spend my time in the present moments trying to understand, opposed to really being a sponge and receiving and feeling. And it doesn't be until later when my overthinking mind replays the entire situation. And this may happen because I still don't understand why you did what you did. Or maybe I do understand it, and even with me understanding, sometimes it's like I got some people in my brain. It's like I understand it, but still I feel this way. Like I understand this wasn't their intention, but it still made me feel this way.
Yeah. I just recently went through a situation like that. And I literally just removed myself from the situation, right? And this happened at work with a manager, because I was offended by something that they said. And I let, like, the weekend go past or whatever, and then I came back and I noticed that when I returned and they were talking to me, it bothered me internally. Like, it made my insides feel like a little unsettled. So I was like, okay, I can't, this is for me. Like, I'm the one that feels this. This person probably doesn't even feel this. So I was like, hey, can we have a conversation? I want to revisit last week. And I revisited, and I was kind of just like, this is how I feel. I was offended when you said this, or whatever the case may be. And just to sum things up, this person experience or of the encounter was completely different than mine, and then I found
Perspective.
myself like trying to get them to understand my point of view, because I wasn't looking for an apology from someone who wasn't sorry.
Yeah.
I was more so just looking for understanding. Like, do you understand why
I feel this
was
way?
offended? Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I came to a realization that because our experience was completely different, this person couldn't take their self out of their shoes to jump into mine. So I kind of just realized I'm just talking just to talk, and I need to remove myself from the situation because it's counterproductive. So
yeah,
I think this was my first time like being in a situation that was like, as an adult with two adults, that was just completely like
no understanding at all.
No understanding. You know what I realized? It's one thing to be understanding and comprehend. It's another thing to communicate, and then we always say it's so important to communicate, but comprehension is key, right?
Yes.
And then the third part that I just recently unlocked is the person who doesn't comprehend you, they have to have a certain level of willingness. They have to have a desire to want to understand. To want to understand. And I think that this person just wasn't committed or interested in
understanding how you felt.
How I felt. And, that's okay.
And like you said, sometimes you really gotta, it's like a sad truth, but you really gotta just settle with the fact that that's okay.
Yeah.
Because like I said, with me trying to always empathize with people and trying to understand why people do the things they do and feel the way they feel, when the shoe is on the other foot, and I may have done something that wasn't probably the correct thing or the right decision, I automatically assume people should do the same thing. I automatically assume that, okay, I understand you think the way you think and you made your choice because of how you want it to move. But I want you to put yourself in my shoes and know why I did this. But people don't do that. Yeah. And I feel like that's a fault of my own as well. Like, I just assume
it's like you expecting you out of
like I don't understand, like, why are you not trying to see where I'm coming from? Yeah. So that's definitely big.
That's understandable. I think that also it's kind of unrealistic to place the expectation of you.
For sure. I'm aware of that. Yeah, I'm aware of that. It's like when it happens or when I do it, I'm able to, it's like an in the moment thing. I'm able to think back on to situations because I do a lot of overthinking. And that's how I'm able to let go of a lot of stuff. Like when days or time pass and I'm able to revisit the entire scenario and just settle with the fact that they're not me. They don't know what I know. They haven't experienced what I experienced, and they don't feel the way I feel. Yeah. So, it's like a.
Yeah. I feel like recently too, I just have came to the point where I appreciate the ability to agree to disagree amongst whoever it is I'm like conversing with, or even facing it any type of like hardships or difficulty with. Like before, it was kind of like you just don't get it, we don't align type of thing. And I think that perspective plays a huge role in all of our experiences. But just because someone doesn't agree with you on something doesn't necessarily mean that y'all don't align as individuals. You just,
I mean, you're not going to agree on everything.
Exactly. But I think there's so much power in being able to agree and say, like, okay, I see where you're coming from. You see where I'm coming from, but we just not coming from the same place.
But that's where I feel like the fault comes in those type of situations, because a lot of the time they don't see where you're coming from. They're stuck on how they feel.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like now because of the situation I just recently went through, I think it made me appreciate the fact that I do have people around me who I can agree to disagree with without it being any animosity, like, you just don't get it and you cut off and all the other immature stuff. So.
I feel like I'm still trying to grow to that maturity rate, because when people don't agree with me, that's fine. People not gonna always agree with me, but when people don't understand why I chose the side I chose, or chose the whatever it is that I feel, that's when it becomes an issue for me.
Gotcha. I mean, that makes sense.
Like, okay, I understand why you saying what you saying, even though I'm not saying the same thing. Like, I understand why you saying the sky blue. That's understandable, but I want you to understand why I think it's green.
Yeah.
Like.
I need you to see where I'm coming from.
I need you to see where I'm coming from. Exactly. And that's what I feel. It's a thin line between the two of those, because some people can say, you could just call it, I'm going to agree to disagree. You think it's green, I think it's blue. You're dumb as fuck, but whatever, that's your opinion. But that's not the same.
I don't think that's the same. So if you say the sky is blue, right? And I say this, but the sky is green, and you say no because, like, if I look at it through your lens, it's blue, and then I say no, if you look at it through my lens, it's green, and then we say, you know what, it's blue and green. That's what agreeing to disagreeing is. But saying the sky is blue and then saying no, but it's green and you dumb as shit and you can't see, that's not agreeing to disagreeing.
You know what's the perfect example for this? Remember that picture of that dress? The blue and black and then the white and gold? And how some people seen one thing and other people seen another. And it became a whole
viral moment.
And it caused a lot of friction as well. Where it's like, those two scenarios you just mentioned came up a lot. It's either that's crazy that you see that because I see this and move on, or it's fuck, is you colorblind? Like, how are you seeing that? And it's this. Exactly. And that's what I mean by people. A lot of people only is able to see things through their own lens. Like, some people are not even able to place themselves in people's shoes.
No, 100%. And something else that I think is very important to identify is that people can only see, like, things as far as they have been themselves. You know? Yeah. So with that being said, it goes back to capacity.
For sure.
So if you have had more experience in life than this person, and you're trying to, it's kind of like persuading or convincing them to see where you're coming from, the whole time their capacity is different.
It's not even large enough.
Life hasn't taken them through the same experience. So I think it's just a respect thing, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a respect thing.
Of the whole,
I think it is, for sure.
Ordeal, for sure.
I don't know, this is a good chat.
Yeah, this was a good talk. I really did enjoy this topic.
That's good. So, should we wrap up?
Yeah, sure, might as well.
Thank you guys for watching our struggle of an episode 2.
This was not a struggle. I think the conversation...
No, the struggle... I mean, the conversation was amazing. The struggle was off camera, but we gotta let them know what's real.
Yeah.
And what's real is we 10 hours in.
Child.
That's what's real. But yeah, it was a great episode. I want to thank you all for tuning in again and watching on YouTube if you're watching visuals, or listening to the audio. If you haven't seen episode 1,
please go back and watch.
Watch the first episode, please.
If you're on YouTube, please comment, like, share, subscribe, do all of that other good
comment stuff. Give us your feedback, your honest feedback. If you're on YouTube, comment. Can they comment on podcast stuff, like on Apple and all that?
No, I don't think they can comment on there. But also, y'all can follow all of our social media handles at dearsister.talks. If y'all DM us or comment under our post or whatever the case may be, share some topics that y'all would want to hear about, and hear about, or maybe share even some guests that y'all would like to see join us or have us interview, or whatever the case may be.
And also, we're taking sponsorships. If you would like to sponsor an episode, a few people reached out to us about them sponsoring whatever your product or business or brand is. You could just email us, or we gonna accept DM us. You could just reach out to us. We would say through email or DM. All of the information will be below this video or this audio. Reach out to us, and
all right, y'all.
Good night.
Good night. I'm saying good night, but
no, it's really good night because I'm about to go to sleep.
It could be good morning wherever y'all at. So I'm gonna just see y'all next episode.
Toodles.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast, Let's Talk Sis, with Des and Sa.
Stay connected by following us on all of your favorite social media platforms. And don't forget, use hashtag DearSisterLet'sTalk to find us.
Wait, before you go, head over to our website or our Instagram and join our interactive community for a daily dose of sisterhood, where like-minded women fellowship, encourage, and create a safe space amongst one another.
See you inside, sis.
Toodles.
Bye.